coming on Friday, to be precise. Please welcome to the stage the creator, writer, and director of Mr. Sloane, Bob Weide. Hello. Hi. And the stars, Ophelia Lovibond and Nick Frost. Hello. Hello, everyone. Hi.
Hello, hello.
Hi.
I just want to know,
everyone.
When they were clapping,
Yeah.
and the woman who was doing the language for the hearing impaired was clapping, was she translating the clapping?
I think
or was
so.
she actually clapping?
I think she was translating the clapping, which was involved clapping, I think. Yeah, both.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, was definitely clapping. There you go.
Now she has to translate what we're saying now, which is really unusual.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah, yeah. Bob, let's
Yes, sir.
focus on this Mr. Sloane show.
Yes.
Now, it's not only is it set in Watford, it's also set in 1969.
Yes.
And as far as I can tell, you're nowhere near Watford, or you're from like New York. You live in LA. Why have you done this thing set in Watford in 1969?
I'm not from New York, but I consider that a compliment.
Oh, okay.
I'm actually from LA. Yeah,
Oh, okay.
A suburb of LA.
Oh, okay.
Yes, and I was 9 years old in 1969. And, well, it started because... What's going on behind my back? Yeah. It started... no, I had this idea for Series 4, Nick Frost. And we've been friends since I first came...
Hey, everyone.
The gentleman on my right. We've been friends since I first came here in 2006 or 7 to direct a feature film. And we met then. And I had this idea for a show for Nick. And I don't know if you've noticed, but Nick has... an English accent. He sounds funny.
Yeah.
Unlike me, I have no accent. And so, because it was a show for Nick, it had to take place in England. And I didn't want it to... the period thing really involves story, what's going on. It's the fact that there's a cultural revolution happening, music, politics. It's affecting everybody's way of life except for him and his mates. Nick's character, Mr. Sloane, is really more of a 50s guy. All this cultural revolution just doesn't faze him. And rather than have it be in London, I wanted it to be in one of the suburbs, one of those sort of satellite towns where even during the so-called swinging 60s, you pretty much just went to the pub every night with your mates or watched telly or whatever. And I liked that idea that he would be apart from everything that was changing in the world.
And Nick, when Bob, you got the idea of this character, when he sent you the script or gave you the idea, did you think, oh yeah, this is a guy I'd like to play. This is good for me.
Absolutely, yeah. I think as a person and as an actor, I feel at home in the dark places of humanity. I think that's where the best. Don't be afraid. I think that's where a lot of the best stuff comes from for actors, you know, and to have a role purpose built for me, which is a man who's deeply in crisis, was a treat. You know, I think roles like Mr. Sloane for actors don't come along that often, and I was really lucky. Because
we should explain the opening scene, which we're going to see various clips coming up, but we won't see this clip. The opening scene of this comedy, is you trying to commit suicide.
Yeah.
An atypical start for a comedy.
I guess. I mean, but it's a clear indicator of where we're going, and that's up. You know, you can't get any further down, I don't think.
Yeah, it starts with him at his lowest point, and essentially the arc of the series is about him trying to get back on his feet and get his life back together again after suffering through a couple of very unfortunate incidents, which are told in backstory.
And he's a bit of a, I mean, I hesitate to use the word loser, but he's at the point where he's a bit of a, I mean, he's lost his wife has left him.
Yeah.
He's lost his job. So, I mean, really, that is the word. Do you feel that's appropriate word to use?
He's a doormat, you know, and without those touchstones which he clings onto, he's cut adrift, really, and he doesn't know what's happening around him until he meets... Oh, Muggins here. Ophelia Lovibond, who plays the character of Robin, and she reignites a spark deep down.
Yes.
Be rude.
I wasn't.
No, yeah.
I meant inside his furnace. I wasn't
within his soul. Yeah.
Pointing at his.
No.
Willy.
And Ophelia.
Well, now you've said it.
Ophelia, did you know when you were approached to be in this? Did you know the work of these guys? Did you watch Curb? Had you watched all of Nick's films? Were you a fan of their work?
Yeah, I had. No, I had. I don't know if I've told you this actually, but I re-watch Spaced every year.
Do you?
You re-watch it every year?
Yes, I do.
Wow. So how many times have you seen it?
I'm not going to tell
It's
you how
a
old I
figure
am.
of speech.
Yeah,
Don't
yeah.
press her
I
for
want a specific
details.
27. Yeah. Okay.
Sure, let's go for that. Yeah, no, I was very familiar. That was part of the appeal of doing the job. I'd watched lots of Curb, and then I hadn't. But then when I spoke to Bob, I'm a Woody Allen fan, as is Bob, and I didn't know that he'd made the documentary, so I watched that, and yeah, you know, all of the work that Nick had done, I'd seen.
We fell for Ophelia immediately.
Did you? I bet. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
When we all got into a room together, like after she left, because you had to go to the airport.
I flew. This makes me sound about 12. My mum drove me to my audition.
Nice.
And then she waited in the car. With
You made her keep the engine running,
Yep.
right? Just in case
Yes,
it
I did,
didn't
yeah.
go right.
And then she drove me straight to the airport to fly to LAX. So it was very quick.
Interesting, yeah. She submitted her initial audition on tape because she couldn't be available to actually come in. Nick and I watched the tape together and flipped, and we said, we got to bring this girl back to have her do the scenes with Nick and do sort of a chemistry check. And then we learned she was leaving for LA to audition for TV pilots in LA.
No.
So we said, let's get her in before she goes to LA because she could go to LA and get a series and then not be available. So literally on her way to the airport, she dropped by my flat, actually. That doesn't sound very legitimate, does it?
No, cunning. What a cunning move.
No,
Just come by the
We'll
flat.
audition you, just the two of us, three of us. And so she did the audition and then got in the car. Her mom drove her to the airport. She went to Los Angeles and we said, we better make an offer on this girl right
But
away.
I did that thing where, well, like, once she left, I was saying to Bob and Clelia, who was the producer, tell her to not get on the plane. Let's just offer it. Let's just tell her to not get on it. Because it felt, you know, it felt like...
But it was really nice, though, because I got there to LA, and then on my birthday, I found out I got the part. So then it was really nice.
No, I should say, subsequently, she's been back to LA for pilot season twice and hasn't gotten shit. So
Thanks,
I
Bob.
mean,
thanks.
Yeah.
hasn't gotten anything,
Nice.
I meant to say.
Nice to feel it.
Such a nice
also,
guy.
can I just say, in Ophelia's, you know,
So
I
we
think
rushed
when you do a casting with an actress and she gives it 100% and cries during a casting in Bob's apartment, and let me say,
That's really
but let me just say
It
to
was
you,
part of the scene.
and you don't feel embarrassed watching it, you
Right.
know, you know you're on to a good thing. 'Cause
Absolute,
I think in other, you know, if you're at a casting and an actress cries, you kind of want to give her a dead leg and say, pull yourself together. But it felt amazing, you know.
Yeah,
By the way, that scene where where Robin does cry in the show, we shot in Twickenham, right underneath the flight path of the airport, and we were outside. And every time she, you know, got up some speed to it, and tears started to form. Exactly.
Oh God.
And that noise was coming from Nick, which was really bad.
It often comes out of me, that noise, when there's some good acting's going on. What was your symbol for the noise of the guff?
It was kind of lovely. Oh, very good. Very good.
That'll come in handy. That's good to know.
That's a bullshit sign, right? Oh, okay, thanks. Oh, you can talk. I didn't think you could talk. I love it.
That's good to know.
The planes were so close you could actually see who had ordered the kosher meals on them by looking.
Yeah.
And so these are the jokes.
The kosher meal.
That was very Woody Allen.
So she would have to keep starting again, and I, as the director, looking at my watch, would say, "Can you pick it up from where we left off?" And she'd say, "No, I've got to work up to the crying. I can't just turn it on." So
But then we
get
did-
to the same spot, and the next plane, Nick sound effect, and it would start all over again. We finally got through it.
We started the speech while the planes were there. So then once it had gone, you'd hear the end of the speech, and then we just had to time it to match to what we had. It was-
Because they were about every 30 seconds.
So yeah, it was the
3 minutes.
3 minutes apart.
Maybe next time.
No,
Don't.
I just wanted it to be
Precise.
accurate, Bob.
Now we should also say that Olivia Colman is in the show.
Who?
Olivia Colman.
Yes.
She's won
yes.
BAFTAs and stuff.
Yeah.
In fact, the first clip we're going to have a look at is the clip of the two of you meeting. So let's have a look and then we'll talk about it.
Okay.
Oh, very good.
Brilliant.
Now, I understand, first of all, so you genuinely have mistaken a large
yeah.
woman for
Yeah.
a pregnant.
Yeah. When I was a waiter, it was the end of the meal. I presented the bill, and while I was waiting for her and her friend to sign, I thought she was pregnant, so I thought, yeah, I'll do it. And I said, oh, when's the baby due? Fuming. I think I might have even pointed at it with a pen.
Oh, God.
Motioned toward it with, oh, well, when's it due?
What was your tip like that night?
Nothing. Not a thing.
Did you know that story first, Bob, when you wrote that scene?
No, not at all. It was actually a bit that I thought of for Curb Your Enthusiasm that we never used.
Oh, okay.
And then I want something we didn't do on this show that I wanted to play on Curb. This would have been Larry David, of course, mistaking a woman for being pregnant, offering the seat. Is that then the next time, the thing is we couldn't figure out how to get Larry David on public transportation because he's got $400 million. So then I wanted to have a callback where the next time there is a large woman and he is, I'm not going to say anything, I'm not going to say anything. And then he's getting off the train and the woman says, very rude, you won't give a pregnant woman your seat. So, you're screwed either way. So I used a lot of unused Curb bits for the show.
Good to know.
And it shows.
Just pull them out of the bin and there they were.
Yeah. And how was it? I mean, Olivia Colman, you cast Olivia Colman before you knew she was going to win 3 BAFTAs, I believe.
Yes, I want to say she had no BAFTAs when I cast her, but the 3 BAFTAs have not changed my opinion of her abilities at all. I still believe in her. But no, unlike Nick, who knew I was writing a show for him, because I sort of pitched it to Nick as an idea, and he said, so Nick said, yeah, let's do it. But I was writing the part for Olivia secretly. Now, again, I've been friendly with her for a number of years, and we always talked about doing something together, but everybody talks about that. So I wrote this part for her, and then I gave her the finished pilot, or maybe it was the whole series was written at that point. And I said, well, you don't know this, but I've written a part for you in this show for Nick, and read it, and I hope you like it. If not, no harm done. She read it, she liked it, fortunately, and there was a scheduling issue. We were worried we wouldn't be able to get her, but her schedule opened up for like 2 weeks, and we shot all of her stuff, and I'm so thrilled. And the two of them together, just, exactly the dynamic, exactly the sort of performances I had in my head when I wrote it.
And there's a big contrast between their scenes, which are kind of like she's left him, and we see you in flashback their relationship, but and the scenes between these two characters, between Ophelia's character. Ophelia, your character is kind of a lovely, warm, very kind of trendy 60s American. We should mention American. But
yes, she's American.
How did you feel about that role, about playing an American and playing someone kind of almost like the essence of the 60s? Were you interested in that era?
The spirit of ecstasy.
The spirit of ecstasy, exactly.
Yeah, thank you. I was really excited about it. It's a whole, like, everything about the aesthetic and the music and the attitude is something that I was already very keen on. That's why when I first read it, I just knew I had to get the part. It was just felt like it had been written for me. So
not enough that you actually come in and audition for it.
No. Just send a tape.
Bob's flat.
To send a tape.
Yeah. No.
And then playing American, I'd never played a straight American kind of accent before, so I really wanted to.
And did you get it off just like that, or did you have intensive training and a coach and all of that?
For
or
the
did you
accent?
just do it? Yeah, for the accent.
No.
Just did it.
I was always quite precocious, I think, as a child, showing off a lot, I think. So I was already familiar with doing lots of accents.
The accent is flawless. I mean, a few American friends of mine have seen, the pilot just on DVD. I've shown it to a few friends, and the first question is always, "Who's this American actress?" And I say, "Haha, she's not American." I say it just like that. I go, ha ha.
And as your character is a character who's the 60s is completely passed him by, isn't he? He's kind of he's like he barely even knows it's going on, which is an interesting.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a lot of people, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I think during the rave generation it was the same, and now the kind of cyber revolution. I mean, a lot. Well, don't offer the word cyber revolution. We're here at Apple. I mean, I think unless you're in it, you have no idea that it's happening. It's just birthdays, death. Let's have a look at a clip.
Yeah, actually, let's have a look at a clip, because this clip kind of sums up your character, so let's have a look.
See you at the BAFTAs.
I think we will see you at the BAFTAs.
I'll probably be saying chicken or fish. Chicken or fish.
I think that kind of sums up the tone of it. It's a very unique kind of quality to it. It's got a kind of slightly sad, and yet it's full of funny. It's full of jokes, and it's just funny bits. But there is something deeply melancholy about it at the same time. And it even looks at it, where it's kind of like a grey, browny look to it. Is that something that you were?
Well, there's two people I should give a shout out to, as the kids say. Is that the phrase? Shout out? Yeah.
Yeah.
One is our production designer, Dennis DeGroot, who has just a great eye for detail, and he's a great person to hire for any sort of period work, because he's really fastidious and wants every single thing right. And he was sort of responsible for the look and the settings and the props and all of that. And then a wonderful director of photography named Ben Wheeler, who was just great, and I really fought to give Ben the time he needed to light it right. And when we first met, I said to him what every cinematographer longs to hear, which is, I'd like this to look like film. I'm not afraid of shadow and darkness and contrast, and it should look artistic and all that. And he was great with all of that. So the look, like the show itself, has its dark spots and its light spots.
But you also got I mean, I have to say, even though you're playing this kind of fairly kind of normal everyman guy, you look pretty natty. That suit, the suits and the glasses and everything, it's a good look. Do you think everyone in the '60s just kind of looks good now from looking back on it from our point of view?
Yeah, I think they did. I think that it was the greatest era for English fashions.
Yeah.
The end.
Yeah. And Ophelia,
end of answer.
We'll see soon your clip. After the next clip, we will actually see you in a clip. And your stuff looks incredible. Was it a joy to wear those kind of?
It's all our own clothes.
Was it all your own?
That's the other reason you got the gig.
Yeah, it was all my stuff. I didn't get to keep any of it though. It was all hired. It was all kept like little precious treasures in some lockup in Hendon. Oh. So I didn't get to keep any of it.
You could just stolen it, couldn't you?
I did try, but it was noticed.
Oh, okay. Fair enough.
I kept a lot of the jewellery.
Okay.
Sorry.
I think the clip we're going to see now is we see more of you and Olivia in flashback, Olivia Colman's character. And let's have a look at this.
Okay. I think there was a point during that when Olivia pointed out that even at that point she regrets marrying Sloan.
Yeah,
you know, when she looks off, you can see the melancholy rising in her.
Yeah, that
already.
came in sort of halfway through the thing, but at the very beginning, Sloane's looking all proud, and she's like staring out the window, like, "What have I done?
Why did I do this?"
Southend.
How did you know about
those
Southend?
are the kinds of things where there were enough British eyes on the script. Although that particular question, do you remember I emailed you and I said, "What's a really crappy place for a guy to take his wife on a honeymoon?"
Here we go.
And as I was writing you, I was kind of looking on Wikipedia, and you and I both emailed each other, and I said, "I've got it, Southend," right as your email came in that said Southend. And then we both sent each other emails 10 seconds later that said home of the world's longest pleasure pier.
Yeah.
So I knew we were on to something there because, we were both in sync on that.
Southend, it's pretty grim, isn't it? I mean, I'm from Essex as well, so I feel
Yeah,
like
whereabouts are you from Essex?
I'm from Ilford.
Are you from
Yeah,
Ilford?
yeah.
I'm from Dagenham.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. Chat amongst yourselves.
Yeah. I think Ilford's worse. I was going to say, before we look at the next with you, it's a little bit of a romantic comedy thing going on. Do you think?
Sure. When she enters the picture, what's going to happen?
So we're going to see that meeting. Was that a thing you wanted to try your hand at? It's kind of like not.
The initial idea that I had for the show, I actually spoke into my iPhone, into the voice memo app. Do I get anything? Where's the swag bag?
You get your 16 gig on the way out.
16 gig. Come on.
If you're lucky.
16. So. In any event, and the first words I spoke about the show, somehow the name Jeremy Sloane came to me, the name of the show, Mr. Sloane, the fact that he was an accountant who had lost his job, his wife. I mean, a lot of these things that made their way into the finished show were from this initial rambling into my iPhone. And but one of the things was that he would meet a girl, and there would be hope for something to happen, and I thought initially it would be in the final episode, but I said no, let's put it in the first episode so we can play the game of are they or aren't they, because there's every indication that this is only a friendship and that anything beyond that might be in Sloane's imagination. She just appreciates because and then you hire Nick and then it's got to be romantic, so I scrapped that. But we get her backstory a little later on and what's happened to her, and she appreciates that there's this guy who doesn't seem to be hitting on her, but is genuinely sweet to her and nice to her, and then things start to develop from there. So that just became, in the face of all the dark things that were happening to Sloan, a ray of hope. So I thought it would play well dramatically.
Well, let's have a look at this clip, which is the first meeting of the two of you. We'll see. Yeah. So Roger Ebert coined the phrase "meet cute," didn't he? But I think that's the first meet cute I've seen revolving around a fart.
Yeah. What better way to meet than
meet cute? The meet cute in a rom-com.
I know which one I am out of those two words.
Well, yes.
By the way, that's based on.
Are you saying M-E-A-T?
Well, yeah, absolutely.
That's
Ray
cute
Bentos.
meat. Yeah. That, by the way, actually happened to a friend of mine. So.
Wow.
Yeah. Something very similar to that. I tweaked it a little bit, but.
There's a lot of great eye acting going on in that scene because you have to respond to the smell and then respond to feeling.
I love the moment where it hits Robin, where you see her realizing what he's talking about.
Yeah.
That's
yeah,
acting.
we do a lot of eye work.
Yeah, good.
We tend to act with our whole bodies, not just our mouths.
No, absolutely.
It's all, that's what you get when you hire us. You get it all.
Absolutely, yeah.
By the way, an American would also have no idea what Fray Bentos was.
No, I was going to say, how do
was
you know about
next.
that?
I had him say something like, I ate something for breakfast that disagreed with me.
You said something like a hot dog or something.
I didn't say a hot dog.
Uh,
I said breakfast.
A piece
And
of
Nick said,
funnel
let's
cake.
make it Fray Bentos. And I said, I don't know what that is, but if you say it's funny, I'll go with it.
So did you let these did you two kind of, improvise? Did you embellish? Did you add to was it, or did you stick to the script? How was that? How was it? What was the kind of mood on set in terms of that?
No, I mean, I think we always did a few as written. It's Bob spent months, harvesting a beautiful egg. And it would be a shame not to use it in our omelette. Oh, what a rubbish analogy.
No, that's quite good.
But you always do a few as written, and then you just kind of have a laugh with it. But within the bounds of your characters and the scene. Otherwise, it often just becomes long, elongated rubbish.
Yeah.
Also, Nick and I spent a few days in my
seen
flat
those
just
films.
reading the scripts out loud.
Right.
And every now and then, like the Fray Bentos thing, every now and then he'd say, can I say this instead? And I'd almost always say, of course. And then we had a little rehearsal time for a few days before we shot with Nick and the fellows who play his mates. And improv would come out of that I would just write down and incorporate into the script. So there's always room to do that. And then on the day, if you're filming, if something inspires you, there's that freedom too. It would be silly to be so precious about the dialogue that you expect every word to be said as is. So.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And that romantic comedy element of it, Ophelia, was your key to. It must have been nice because it's hard to get right, isn't it? That kind of thing. You can be quite kind of cliche rom-coms, can't they? But this feels to me like something quite different. And
The whole tone of it is quite bittersweet. It never felt kind of cloying, and it is more in the vein of comedy. And because they do generally get on, there's such a good friendship there. And fortunately, he's quite nice, so it was easy to conjure that on screen.
Absolutely. And for you, I mean, you did Cuban Fury, which was a nice kind of old-fashioned rom-com in a way. Do you like the genre? Do you feel it's a bit?
Yeah, I mean, I find it laughable, really, that I would be cast as a romantic lead. It makes me laugh, I guess, and I think
not true.
Well, no, thank you, Bob. You now get a 32 gig iPod Touch.
Hot dog. Now I said hot dog.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a nice thing. I think everyone falls in love. You don't just have to look like a beautiful statue to be considered attractive, I don't think. Right, Ophelia. I think it helps that Ophelia and I actually have a genuine affection for one another, and and a respect, and I like making her laugh. And when you're making a romantic comedy, it helps. I think sometimes when I haven't finished. Sometimes when you do a romantic comedy and you don't buy it, it's because the leads kind of don't like each other,
right.
and people know that. I finished.
Thanks. I was going to say that the biggest laugh I ever got out of him, I was always trying to make him laugh because there is a satisfaction you get from that, was when I pretended to fall off a table, and that just got the biggest laugh out of him.
Oh, you can't be a bit of slapstick.
Inane piece of humour.
There's nothing inane about great slapstick, I think.
No,
it
was good.
Absolutely. And for you, Bob, obviously we know you for your Woody Allen film. Was the inspiration of that?
Sorry, I was just
sorry.
Happened to sigh at the same time.
I mean,
you were the one who said don't mention Series 3 of Spaced coming up, so we got to talk about that.
That's out next year.
Yeah. Don't say that. Oh my God.
See, just a fanboy squeed himself.
Yeah.
A lot of squee came out.
He loves squee. Yeah. But did you get something? Because he's the king of the best rom-coms, isn't he? Really, he's like Annie Hall's kind of like the best one ever in a way, isn't it?
Sure. It's interesting because Ophelia and I are both Woody Allen fans, and she's probably sick of hearing this by now. But when I first saw her audition, I've always said that every American comedy filmmaker, every American comedy director is still trying to make Annie Hall, except for Woody Allen, who thinks the film's overrated. But when I saw her audition, I thought there was sort of a Diane Keatonish quality about her that I liked. And then everybody subsequently at Big Talk and Sky, who saw her audition, said there's something Diane Keatonish about her. So that was great. But she's herself. She's not anyone else. And Nick is certainly no Woody Allen. So, you make do with what you've got.
Fair enough, yeah. And I heard you saying today that you kind of did a little bit. You had a little go at the directing in this, and a little bit go at even camera operating.
I did. I operated one shot, which made the edit, which I think more chuffed about than anything
Really?
I've done in film or television.
Was it
Wow.
the hole in the
Yeah,
ceiling?
it was the hole. Yeah. At one point, I fixed the hole in the ceiling, which my failed suicide has done, and they let me do that shot.
Nice.
And sometimes if Bob was having a sleep between setups, I'd kind of take the helm and
Yeah.
put out the fires.
Yeah,
You
fair
watch
enough.
this guy on a monitor all day. See how long you can stay awake.
You love it.
Hey.
Nice. Well, on that note, let's
No.
we're throwing it out to the
no.
audience now.
Oh, is it?
Yeah,
All right, fine.
yeah. Oh, yeah, no, we're not finished. Just got to give these guys time to. Yeah. So we've got, I think, some roving mics, hopefully. But if you have a question, put your hand up, and Mike will come to you. Who's first? Yeah, lady in the front row, in the middle. There. Yeah, just there.
Good. Just stand. You're about a foot away from us. We'll hear you.
Mic's on its way. Here we go. Yes.
Hello.
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 With doing this, did the dance training for Cuban Fury come in handy for filming Mr. Sloane?
No. Oh, Mike, we have a dance, don't we?
It did.
Me and her have a dance at one point, and yeah, I think there was some nice, fresh dips and spins that we did, right?
There were lots of fresh dips. Yeah, it's
A
great.
lot of fresh dips and spins. End of answer.
Thank you. And any other questions? Oh yeah, lady next to you.
Oh,
Good.
that was good.
Nice.
That worked out.
Did you enjoy catching up with Peter Serafinowicz again after Shaun of the Dead?
Yeah, but he's been a mate of mine for 17 years, so you know, I see him often, and Pete, I love working with him. I think he's an amazing actor, and I love watching him act. You know, it's he brings such a spirit to a set, and when you watch this, you see him drifting in and out of kind of young Michael Caine all the time, you know, and Kenneth Williams and lots of other little kind of 60s comedy, you know. And we didn't really mind, oddly, that it kind of wasn't the same two scenes in a row, but it worked, as his character was Ross was kind of like that.
I have to say, Peter, I was only familiar with his sketch work. I'd never seen him do any, proper acting.
Yeah.
And I have to say, and I'm not speaking out of school because Peter knows this, he came in and did not the best audition. And, Nick is like this too. Nick is the first one to say that if he has to audition for a part, forget it. Some actors are great on camera, but being in the room and having to sit there, it's a whole different thing. And Pete did an audition that wasn't terrible, but it wasn't great. And some actors maybe even did a better audition. But just from knowing what I did of his work, and he's so engaging on camera and in the room, you just want to watch him. I said, I know he can do this. I know he can do this. Nobody put up a fight. All the other producers and the backers and the network were quite happy, and he absolutely nailed it. He's just great in the role.
He kind of plays like the world's worst dad, or a pretty bad dad, doesn't he? In the
Yeah. Well, it's again. This apparently happened all the time back in the day. Is that the mom would be at home and dad would be at the pub, and dragging the kid along with him. We have some scenes where the kid is in the pub, waiting because he's got school in the morning, waiting for dad to come home, and then a scene where he's in the car car park. And a lot of people who grew up at that time said,
I was a pub rat. I was a pub rat.
Yeah,
I was in the 70s. In that pub rat in Ilford, the Lord Napier.
Oh, I know, yeah.
Yeah, that's where I used to be a pub rat.
Wow.
So I'd be collected from school and I'd have to go and sit behind the bar and wait for Mum to finish.
Except you had your own bottles.
She was
so that made it
working.
better.
Yeah, I'd have little pint glasses.
And yeah, it hasn't really had any. You've still, you're such a lovely man, Graham.
Right.
So yeah,
Thanks, boys.
It's fine. It's fine. Next question from gentleman. Could you just pass the mic along to the gentleman? Thank you.
For Bob, being an American director, directing and creating a British...
You're an American too, aren't you?
I'm an American too.
Oh,
no, this is just an accent. Just kidding.
What state are you from?
I'm from Colorado, studying in California, in LA.
All right.
Film major, got to go to this kind of thing.
Sure.
But what's it like creating a British series as an American? And do you think, as writing and creating it, you built in a lot of cross-cultural things? Can an American appreciate the series as much as a Brit?
Yeah, I think an American can appreciate the series as much as a Brit because the basic story is a universal story. It's about friendship. It's about loss, it's about love, it's about recovering from bad things that have happened and trying to find your way. I think these are all universal things. Now, pub life is certainly something I knew nothing about, but I know what it is to hang out with your friends, and at least I used to. And so and I did spend a year here when I was doing How to Lose Friends. I spent a solid year here, and you can soak up a fair amount of the culture after a year. I don't know how long you're out here for, but it's
one more day.
Oh,
One more day.
Wow. Sad.
How long have you been here?
I've been here since Sunday.
Have you soaked a lot of it up?
Not enough.
Okay.
But in any event, and as I say, there are enough British eyes to make those corrections. Now, there's a pub scene that virtually opens the first episode after, in any event, in episode 1, there's a pub scene. And I had a bit at one point where a waitress brings food to the table, and they all know her, and they call her Mary, and she says, "Hi, Sloan," and all that. And a friend of mine here in England, actually the first person to read the script before I took it around, said, no, you're thinking of the modern-day gastropubs. There was no food service in the pubs back then. There were certainly no waitresses. There were barmaids who would wipe the table. So I had to take that bit out. So there are enough British eyes on it to tweak and correct those things. But I always saw this as kind of a universal story that could take place any place at any time.
You'd have probably got packet of polos in a pub, or a thick cheese roll under a plastic cloche.
Yeah, if you're lucky.
Sounded like something Alan Bennett might write, doesn't it?
Very Bennett. Thank you. Good question. Thank you. Thanks for coming on.
Thanks, boys. I might do it as Bennett for the rest. Bear with me.
Oh, yeah, do.
Yes, young man.
Hey, right. What is the best acting advice for screen you've ever been given, or you can give to all three of you?
I feel...
Don't make me go first.
Bob?
I got nothing.
Look, I mean, I'd say don't do anything. Don't act, I know it sounds counterintuitive for an actor, but try to do nothing. I remember I did a film a long time ago, and they used non-actors in extra roles, and I remember I was behind the camera watching them at one point. They didn't do a thing, and it was amazing. And it's very difficult to try and teach that, because actors, a lot of actors are by essence giant show-offs who want to be seen and will overact. So we do it on set a bit. I think we did it, and I do it with Simon a lot, but we'll do a take, or we'll do a rehearsal, and I'll go up to him and I'll whisper, "Hey, why don't you take about 90% off of that?" So I think don't act. Just let it come out of you. Thanks very much.
And the proof is in the pudding, because when you see Nick on screen, you say, "This guy
he cannot act."
Yeah, he can't act.
No, he doesn't act. Not
he doesn't
cannot.
act. Oh, I see.
I'd spent the afternoon eating Choco Leibniz with Sue. Who's next?
Let's go to a clip.
Oh yeah, gentleman. In the front. No, we're running no more clips.
Another clip,
Bob. Yeah, gentleman in the front.
I've got another question for Nick. Hey. So you've done films, you've had your own TV series, and you've done voice acting as well as your own documentary back in the day.
Keep going. I like you.
What else have you done? I can think. Is there anything else that you want to kind of aspire to do, or something that you just want to keep going forward to, and do something in the near future that you haven't done yet?
Just keep. I guess I'd like to direct. And just working with amazing people, I think that's all you can ask as an actor and someone in my job, is that you can be in a position where you generate your own stuff, which is good and that people like, and you surround yourself with people you want to work with. I think time on Earth is so finite and small that it's a real waste if you spend it working with shitheads, and doing a job that you hate. Don't even bother. Don't do it. Don't turn up, and I'm very lucky that I'm in a position where I get to come to work with my best mates and muck about, essentially, I'm very lucky.
What if your best mate is a shithead?
Let's have a look at a clip.
Hashtag shithead.
Hashtag, yeah.
For those tweeting.
Thank you. Good question. Thank you. Any more questions?
You did say no swearing, right? Does shit or shithead?
I think we're already out.
Shit, keep doing it. You keep
exactly.
doing it.
I think
you've gone back down to an 8 gig, Bob.
Yeah.
Hashtag downgrade.
Back in the day, 8 gig was plenty.
Let's have a couple more, then we can go and continue our lives, and maybe we'll go Garfunkel's and have a fajita.
Yeah. Any more questions? Well, I was just going to round off by saying what you're all doing next, because you've got your pilot, you've done a pilot for
Yeah,
Fox?
I did a pilot for Fox called Sober Companion with the amazing Justin Long, and we're waiting to hear if that gets picked up. It may not. It might. You know, who knows?
But if it does, you're going to be doing it for 7 years, aren't you?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, touch wood. You
Yeah.
know, would it be that successful? Who knows?
And Ophelia, you're in Marvel's Guardians of the Galaxy.
This is true.
Excited? We're excited.
Yeah.
Rocket Raccoon, the voice of.
That's me.
That's
Yeah.
that.
I'm really versatile.
Yeah, clearly.
Yeah, they had a new trailer out today. It does look quite epic.
It
You
does.
in it?
No.
Oh, right.
No, it's just like mainly the raccoon actually swearing and stuff. No, I'm really excited. I haven't seen any of it. So
Haven't you? Have you
no.
any sense of what it's going to be like? Whether it's going to be huge? You know, can you tell when you're in that kind of film?
Yeah, it's quite tongue in cheek. It's quite they're playing the sort of humour of it a lot.
Oh, nice.
But I don't know. They've been really secretive.
I think that's something Marvel are very good at. By
They
the
are,
way,
yeah,
you know,
absolutely,
even
yeah.
with Thor and you
Iron
know,
Man.
Yeah,
Iron
they're great.
Man,
Yeah.
yeah. And Bob, you doing any more Curb? Are you doing your Cola Wars film? Is that going to happen?
I'm not going to
Colon
discuss any
Wars?
of that.
Colon
because
Wars, yeah.
Oh, sorry.
Every time I mention something I'm working on, the next day it's headline
It's in the
that
papers,
I'm doing
yeah.
something.
I'm
It's
trying
like,
to get you in
Jesus,
trouble.
I'm at outline stage.
Yeah.
The only thing that I'll talk about is returning back to my documentary world as I'm finally finishing a documentary I've been working on for more than 3 decades on author
wow.
Kurt Vonnegut.
Oh, Kurt
Which
Vonnegut,
will
yeah.
join the ranks of my Marx Brothers, W.C. Fields, Lenny Bruce, Woody Allen, all my sort of cultural inspirations. And Vonnegut was my literary idol for years. Became very friendly with him. He died about 7 years ago, and I'm finally this year going to finish my Kurt Vonnegut documentary. So
Oh, excellent. Cool.
let's see a clip.
Let's read an extract from Slaughterhouse Five.
Yes, that would be an amazing way of ending it, wouldn't it? We have run out of time, so I just
Linda
want to
laughing there. Linda
Yeah.
laughed. She like that.
Yeah. Nick, Ophelia, and Bob, and just to say, so Mr. Sloane starts Sky Atlantic Friday 9
Yeah.
o'clock,
That's
and
right.
it's wonderful. Thank you.
Thank
And
you.
Thank you very
Thank you,
much.
boy.
Thank you.
Thank you for everyone for coming.
Thanks,
Thank you very
guys.
much. Cheers.
Thank you.